In my own journey in sobriety and recovering from codependency, I asked myself, what is addiction really? Beyond what Western medical science tells us is a disease, and beyond how society frames it as a crime. I'm Jo from LoveShiftLive.com, and in today's Love Bite, I want to share with you some of my own discoveries around what addiction is, what it isn't, and how it manifests in relationships. And for me, yes, it is a disease. It's a disease of pain, of loneliness, dislocation, and survival. It is a disease born from a system set up to separate, traumatize, and dehumanize. Polish-Swiss psychologist Alice Miller says it is a sign, a signal, and a symptom of distress. It is a language that tells us about a plight that must be understood. Powerlessness, trauma, and rejection create a cycle of what is called survival stress, a stored stress and pain in us. And childhood experiences shape how we love, how we live, and how we feel about ourselves for the rest of our lives. Some of it becomes a pattern of self-infliction, and some of it is systemic, both intertwined. The greater the experience of pain, the greater the need for a painkiller to make it go away. Now, if you think about it, when we go for an operation, or when people have a headache, it's perfectly acceptable for us to take painkillers. It's perfectly acceptable to be put under an anesthetic. But when we have emotional pain, when we have a pain caused by trauma, it is a shame, it is a crime, and it is something that is stigmatized, and people end up being very alone with their experiences because they're considered weak. It's not just with substances that addiction manifests, or with shopping or gambling or social media scrolling. It also manifests in our relationships. It manifests in the ways that we aren't able to break an endless cycle of heartache. It manifests where we know a relationship is not good for us, but we feel we can't leave. It manifests in feeling obsessed with someone or being overly dependent on people in our lives to feel good or to feel validated and to like ourselves. And it manifests in the ways that we harm others and harm ourselves because our lives feel out of control. And addiction addiction, the root of addiction is just to have that moment of respite, that moment to be able to breathe, to just escape from that pain. Addiction is not a choice. It is not about willpower. It is not born from deviance or a criminal mind. And it is also not the experience of the other. It is an experience of you and me, and it shows up every day in our lives. And for us to heal that addiction, we need to do both the inner work for personal healing, but we also need to be able to create and contribute towards an environment that allows for human dignity to thrive. I want to close with these words by a book called About Love by African-American author, professor, and social activist Bell Hooks. And for me, it is the essence of what is underneath addiction and also what is the pathway to healing addiction in our lives. And she says, we yearn to end the lovelessness. And with that, I wish you healing and I wish you love, and thank you for joining me in today's Love Bite. This is Jo from LoveShiftLive.com.